So I told you, right? And I did an internship at IISc. So this is the government program, which not everyone gets a chance to. But some of my friends were working already there. They recommended my name because they knew Pratik might be the right one to do this. So and there's nothing to be ashamed about. Because everything in today's world works in networking. There, I recommend you, you recommend me, and that's how the chain builds, right? That's how
Definitely.
we help each other. So it's a big role, big part, big part. Yeah, no questions about that.
What tools did you find, most helpful while preparing for the interview process? Like, were there any internet sites which helped you to prepare? Like, I know for a fact that your seniors were a huge part of it and your peers as well. But what others, tools did you use to prepare for the interview process, be it JP Morgan or be it any other you sat for? Hello, everyone. This is Shreeja Bedi. I'm going to be the host for today, and this podcast is hosted by Skill Sapiens. So today we have with us Mr. Prateek Mohanty, and he is an alumni of VIT, and he's currently working at JP Morgan. So hello, Prateek. We're very happy to have you on board.
Hi. Thank you for having me here. It's a real pleasure.
So how's your day going? I know it's Sunday. So weekend, how's your weekend going now?
Yeah, it was great. Lazy weekends where you do nothing and just be do what you like. That's great. Yeah, it was
Definitely.
great.
So okay, let's start with the interview. So, let's start with, can you share like a bit about your background and the journey that led you to your final placement?
Right, sure. So I'll tell you. So I back in my 12th and 11th, or even before that, right before joining college, I was a guy who was not into computers and stuff. And I to be very honest, never thought I would be coming into this, so-called software industry. But that was how it was. And but when I came, I understood that there's a lot to be understood, a lot to be done. And I started my preparation for building that kind of competence within me, that coding competence, understanding the problems and everything.
Mhm.
I would say from second semester, third semester onwards. And this journey was filled with a lot of ups and downs. I would say I was because even to be very honest, if you knowing this year was kind of difficult in terms of placement and everything. You had to be on your toes because there was very selective hiring that was taking place. And yeah, so in the first or in the second year, I had made a plan for myself. Like, this is how it's going to be. I'm going to devote my time, and this much time for coding, this much time for development, or exploring other stuff, working in clubs, building that kind of leadership ability within me. And I always had my in my mind to enhance my resume, so that when a recruiter comes and sees my resume, he knows that, yeah, this guy has done something in the past and he can be asset to the firm, right? And at the same time enjoying the process, because that's very important, because 4 years is not a short time. You have to enjoy the process. You have to understand that there will be lots of ups and downs, and based on that you need to keep going, and eventually you will find that you have achieved something good and great. Yeah.
Definitely. So you did mention the ups and downs. Can you elaborate a bit on that?
Sure. So the thing is that when you put in a lot of effort, right, you desire results to be coming out of it, right? And usually we have the tendency that we try to get into the result like very fast. We need the results very fast, right? But that doesn't happen sometimes because I'll tell you, because when you are coding for 6 10 hours throughout, you expect that your companies look at you, your resume is being looked at, you do well in. For example, there is this coding competitions that happen. You sometimes they don't go well for you, right? And
Definitely.
that's how it is. It's not that sometimes your self confidence goes for a toss, and that sometimes happens, right? So that's low sometimes as well. And then I was particularly a guy who was very interested in getting a real experience of how real industry works, because working on our own projects is something, but working in a real life project where there are a lot of teams involved, a lot of people involved, there are different dynamics, is very important, right? So
Definitely.
from the very beginning I was yeah so from the very beginning I was always looking for interning at good places, right?
Mhm.
And I had few places where I wanted to intern. I had few dreams, but that could not be there. I got suppose I applied in Microsoft in my second year. I really wanted to be there because, but that could not happen. And I was kind of sad about it. But then I know that I had to move on. And then but eventually, coming to the ups, right? Because I kept on trying. I did intern in some amazing organizations. I interned in Reserve Bank Innovation Hub, which was a great experience. Then I also got to be part of a very important government project in Indian Institute of Science,
Okay.
where we will where we are doing stuff in the Robert Bosch Institute. It was a great experience, and so I kept on building this experience. So that when I'm really in the industry, I know how things work, what I need to bring to the table. Yeah, so that's how it is.
So, you also mentioned that while building your resume for, finding a good final placement, you took part in various, competitions, clubs and committees. So, can you elaborate a bit on that? Because I feel like an MBA aspirant always have to, be very conscious about the resumes because ultimately it's on base of your resume that you get a good final placement, right?
Right, absolutely. So as I told you, right, I had no background of this, so I needed that kind of support in the beginning, right? And you always find support. We are always lucky when you find that kind of seniors for you. So that I was lucky in terms of that. And how I got that is through my clubs.
Okay.
Many people think it's not worth their time, but actually, to be very honest, I learned a lot from my seniors by joining clubs.
Yes.
Because they are there for you. They know that you are coming from a background which you are not been familiar with, and especially talking about VIT, right? I'm not sure about the colleges, but we have a very great culture of seniors supporting us a lot. They go throughout. They are with you, holding your hand and making sure that you understand the stuff. So it's not easy, it's not easy because first there's a lot of crowd, and there are very few clubs which actually are worth your time, right? Because the
Definitely.
seniors are that way. So yeah, so you need to pick the right clubs, you need to pick the right clubs having the right culture, and then you need to get in, and then you just need to show your interest. And that's I have seen that's everywhere. It's even in your company, it's even in with your clubs. It's if you show a bit of interest, people from their side are ready to help you. Most of them do, most of them at least. So it's very important, you get involved in this, and eventually you see that you keep on learning. And another important part is when you know that someone is helping you, it's also your responsibility going ahead that you do the same when someone asks you to do the same, do it, right? Suppose I joined. If some of my juniors ask me for help, I have the responsibility that I have to help them. So this culture builds on, and that's a great way, because if you are part of the ecosystem, you are learning, you are teaching, you get to learn a lot, understand a lot, people's perspective, and build. And also, because I have seen it's not always about your core skill as well, it's also about your soft skills, right? It's also about the leadership that you build. And people, because a lot of people have the core skills, but they lack leadership, they lack soft skills, right? So these are the things that you build while you interact with people, join clubs. So that's a very important part. Though again, you need to create a boundary, right? It's not that you're always doing stuff which is for the club and not focusing on yourself. But yeah, that's a very important part of your journey.
Definitely. And like you mentioned that, having supportive seniors was a huge part for your growth. That's so like true. Like it's a positive, it's like almost equal to a positive work environment, right? While we're studying, if our seniors are supportive of us, like they have more knowledge than us because they obviously are elder in a batch above us. So it's mostly, it depends on that as well. And you also mentioned that, people underplay the importance of clubs and committees. And I feel like that's also very true because in clubs and committee, you learn a lot of qualities that will help you in the corporate. For example, time management, how to work in a group, how to speak up. Because I feel like a huge problem with MBA candidates are most of them they don't know how to speak up. They have a lot of good opinions, but they can't form them into words. So that's actually a huge part where club and committees help. So yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. What were your initial goals, or what were your expectations while you were going into the placement process? Like, were you able to get your expectations met, or there was something you wanted more, or you weren't able to achieve that, or something like that?
So yeah, so I'll tell you, it all began because in VIT, right, companies start coming from third year itself. It's for internship per se, and then they convert you into PPO. So
Mm-hmm.
third year was kind of a tough time for me. The reason being, though I was well versed with coding, I had not put certain. I had not focused on certain areas. Like though I knew how to do a question, but it was about also being time bound, right? Because there's a timer going on, and it's about knowing those concepts, when to apply what, when to do it in a better complexity, right? So, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, talking about time complexity. So those things are not focused. So I kind of struggled a bit when it came to a third year of getting internship, because that time, though a lot of companies came, but the shortlisting criteria was very stringent. And also in the previous summer of before the third year, as I told you, I was interning, right? So I did not get a lot of time. So I was doing the company stuff. This is very specific. I could not get a lot of time to build my coding skills or pursue the skills which is going to give me internship in the third year.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I have to be very honest, I was kind of stressed out about it, because uh, there were people around me, because there's always that peer pressure, right? There are people around me who were getting in, who were getting those internships. So then after that, when eventually fourth year came, I learned two very important things. First is I took a step back. I understood that I have already interned in a lot of companies. Now it's about also building my core skills, which is going to get me into the gate, right? So I focused completely my 2 3 months of summer. I was just coding. It was non-stop coding, and
Mm-hmm.
I built that kind of going into the fourth year. I ensured that I had the required skill. But then again, when companies came, right, it was again about certain things I was lacking. I had again discussed with my seniors. They told me certain things, and I kept on improving, kept on improving.
Mm-hmm.
So I eventually understood that, as in when you practice more, practice is the only way. There's no other way around. You become good by practicing. That's one thing I understood. And the second very important thing, I used to feel this kind of pressure. My friends are getting in, my peers, like, because there's always a peer pressure. People
Yeah.
agree or don't agree, it's there, right? But going in the fourth year, I understood that you have to appreciate. So the person who is getting in has something in him which has got him there, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not about feeling that pressure, but it's about understanding, it's about appreciating them. So
Mm-hmm.
when you do that, right, there's an ecosystem created around you where you're positive, and even people see that in you, people support you. Because I'll tell you, in my fourth year placement, I gave a lot of interviews for a lot of companies, but it so happened that I was not getting the call. Many companies I even reached the final stage, but they just removed me for no reason, no content, anything. But I had built those kind of ecosystem within me, around me, where I had those kind of friends, those people who knew that I'm going to get through.
Mm-hmm.
And that was also part of, because I was enjoying their success as well. So it's
Definitely.
very important that, yeah, so it's very important that you enjoy others success and also focus on what's right for you. So these two things are definitely learned, and this makes the process much easier. Because see, eventually you are going to get through, you're going to get something, but it's, why do you make the process difficult for you?
So you mean
So
like
these
make
two
the
things were the
process
important
healthy for
learnings for me,
yourself?
and eventually, I got.
So like you mean to make the process healthy for yourself, right?
Sorry,
Just
could you
be,
repeat that?
sorry, am I audible?
Yeah,
So I'm like,
absolutely.
you mean like to
Yeah,
make
you're
the
audible. Tell me.
process healthy for yourself, right? Be happy for others and learn from them, like the people who are getting in instead of us, right? So that's actually a huge part. It's we have to learn this. It's a corporate skill, to be honest. Like more often than not, like maybe our peers will be, getting a promotion that we wanted, but we don't get it, and we have to learn, like, why didn't we not get it, so that we are able to strive for that and achieve that the next year, hopefully. So definitely.
Absolutely. Abso-
And also, you talked about
Absolutely.
like
Yeah, but that's when I was mentioning about this point. That's when I was mentioning about the leadership skill, right? That's where this comes into play. See, a leader is also the one who is happy about others' success. So that's a very key role, and everything comes together at the end eventually. So yeah,
definitely. And also, you mentioned you're, stressing a lot on the importance of a resume. But we had a very, like we all know that you sat for like multiple companies, right? So you have to alter your resume according to that particular company. So how were you able to alter your resume and cover letter for different companies? So like what tells you that, we have to at this point for this company and the other for the other one. So how did you alter that?
okay, so that's the thing, right? When the competition is so high, you need to be at your best. So you just cannot randomly go into the interview process and expect that everything works out. So you need to do a bit of research from your side as well. So when a company is coming in, you need to see that what kind of role they are looking at. what kind of skill set the company is looking at. See, if I'm good on certain thing, but the company doesn't need it, so they won't bother, right?
No.
So you need to see in there, at least even if you don't know. So many companies, what happens is they give you this we are hiring for this specific skill, right? But then there are many companies who don't specify that. So you need to go into the portal and research about a bit. And also another again coming back, you need to ask the seniors who are in the company, right? What this company actually requires. That's again a big part. They are the ones who will let you know that this is what the company is looking at, and then based on that you tailor your resume, you change certain things. So it's usually not a very big change, right? So there's certain core skills that's there in your resume. It's about changing your project, sometimes your project, sometimes your skills that you're mentioning at the top. It's just refining those things, right? So
Yeah.
it's a small thing, but yeah, you need to tailor according to that, because it's all about the company. They're looking at something, right? And they want that from you. So yeah, it's very important to you do your research, ask your seniors who are working in that company.
Mhm.
That will help you a lot, definitely.
So do your research, ask your seniors, just alter your resume according to every company's needs, to be honest, right? Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
So, like, can you walk us through the interview process for your final placement at JP Morgan? Like, what was the interview process? Like, what sort of questions did they ask?
Okay, coming to JP Morgan, they hire to something called Code for Good, right? Where what happens is usually every year JP Morgan comes to colleges, selected colleges, where there's an coding round initially.
Mm-hmm.
After you clear the coding round, you get a interview round, which is basically AI based interview,
Okay.
where they judge your skills. You have to use those certain kind of keywords that they are looking for. You need to have a good demeanor in front of the AI, right? And so that you get to the next round. And so that these two rounds are basically mostly everyone gets to give this AI based interview. But again, because this is an AI based interview, it's again a bit of luck, because the process is not transparent when it comes to an AI based interview, right? So so the thing is that again you need to, as I told you, coming to your previous question, right? So my thing, I had also applied for the same program in my third year
Yeah,
for
yeah.
an internship role, and here I applied for full time. In third year I could not get in, right?
Mm.
Because I just went into the interview, told stuff, and came back, right?
Okay.
Fourth year, I ensured that I do not make this mistake. I
Mm.
went to the portal. I researched about what could be potentially they are looking at. I
Oh.
also asked my one of my senior who was working in JP Morgan. So
Mm.
he told me that have a good demeanor in the interview. Use those keywords. Suppose I'm a Python developer. I do Django development. I am into DevOps,
Mm-hmm.
and also mention your leadership skills. So AI picks these things up, right? And
Okay.
again, then they have their own algorithm which you don't have control of. But yeah, I did my bit, and then
Okay.
I eventually, after month and a half, I got the selection call for the final hackathon round that they conduct, which is actually called the Code for Good, right? Where this time I think, because the condition was so, very few people were selected. It's like 15 20 people from our college, and I was luckily one of them. Then this is the actual round where you have to showcase yourself, because here they actually, this time it was in person, the hackathon. So we were called into JP Morgan offices,
Mm-hmm.
and in this hackathon there are these NGOs which bring in their problem statement, and teams are given this problem statement to work on. And in the process, a 24 hours hackathon, in the process there are team mentors assigned to you who are actually employees of JP Morgan, and they analyze you throughout the 24 hours, right?
Okay.
And in the 24 hours, it's very important that you showcase your core skills, the programming skills that I'm talking about, your development skills, but also, you being a team player, you being with the team, you also giving the right responsibility to the right people. So that played a key role in my selection, I believe, because the mentor saw probably in me that, though I so it was always a possibility that I could do a lot of job myself, right? But that is not being a team player. So
Mm.
mentor saw maybe that I'm assigning roles to people and distributing the work in an efficient manner, so the work gets done faster, right? And
Okay.
also it's all because 24 hours is working continuous 24 hours is not easy, right? Everyone knows that. It's
Definitely.
also about keeping your morale high, and not only your morale high but your team's morale high, right? There are certain things, there are deadlines to be met, you have to give your presentations. So everything, you have to be an all-rounder basically. And the thing is that the biggest dynamics of this is that, see, everyone in your team are there for selection, right? It's a
Definitely.
team, but it's also an internal competition within
Definitely.
yourselves. So it becomes very interesting. But that's, yeah, again, that's the joy of it, right? You be a team, you help each other out, and as well as showcase what's special within you. And eventually the mentors, they note this for 24 hours, then they have, I think there were some 20-30 points which they mark based on your performance, and then they recommend you to the higher authorities for a must hire, or whatever it is, right? So that's how the process is.
So, like, the interview process sounds very grueling, to be honest. Like, one has to be, like, mentally and physically prepared for it. So, how were you
Yeah.
able to be, mentally and physically prepare for your this interview, like this process? How were you able to, sit for like interviews and be mentally and physically fit? Because, while you're giving the interview, you always have to be at your 100%, right?
Yeah. So exactly. So coming to the hackathon part, right, especially because first was the coding round, is fine, that everyone gives, and then the AI interview. Again, I told you it's a bit of luck, bit of your skill. But coming to the bit of coming to your final round of hackathon, right?
Yes,
Actually, I had never given a 24-hour hackathon before this.
definitely.
And I was kind of concerned because 24 hours sitting together, I mean,
Long time.
throughout, would not be easy. Yeah, but it's just that how committed you are. So
Yeah,
if you have that kind of commitment, if you have kind of if you really want to go through this, right, that I want a job here, I respect this company, I respect their culture, and this will be a very good opportunity for me. So eventually things start happening, right? You start enjoying, you start working with your teammates, and with cup of coffees you make through the entire day.
yeah,
And see, it's that even mentors know, right? It's 24 hours, you cannot be at your 100% all the time, right?
definitely.
But it's also, but when you're not in your 100%, contributing your best, even if it's 90%, contributing that 90% in the best manner possible, right? So they also look at that because they also know that 24 hours being 100% always is not possible. But yeah, it's also about contributing the best of your abilities throughout the 24 hours. Yeah, so it was a big challenge, but I luckily got through that. Yeah. And that happens, like you manage it.
Definitely. And like you did mention that you required the help of a senior, right? Like from VIT who got placed at JP Morgan prior to you. So what role did
Correct.
networking, play in your placement process?
You mentioned networking, right?
Right, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Big, as I told you, it's networking is the thing. See, even once you get in, or you're trying to get in, networking is everything.
Mm,
Because when you network, right? See, when I asked the senior, he told me very important points, which I would, when I gave in my third year, I didn't know these things, right? So,
mm,
and how could I contact that senior? Is because I sometimes, what we as juniors find it a bit awkward. Like, I've not talked with him since so long. I might be remembering me, not remembering me. But you should have that confidence, right? You should go ahead and contact people. Most 99% of people will help you, right? And you need to have that confidence. So networking is throughout, and these seniors, as I told you, right, from my first year, I was constantly asking them questions. I was constantly letting them know that I want to learn. So they always, so the senior always remembered, yeah, this guy Prateek, who was very interested, and he's again asking me. So they're there to help you, and people are usually good when like they're kind-hearted. They do help you, right, when you ask for help. And even I'll tell you, in the when I get in the company as well, right?
yes.
See, getting into this setting of a big company is not easy. It's huge code bases. So even I have a mentor now also, and now also he tells me, be behind people. See, they are busy here, but
Mm,
if you show that interest, if you be behind them, if you communicate with them, there's a lot that you will learn, right? And
def-
eventually, when you ask them for help, they will know that this guy is interested, and they will help you. Yeah, and networking is a big role, because and not only about helping you, they also bring a lot of opportunity to you. So I told you, right? And I did an internship at IISc. So this is the government program, which not everyone gets a chance to. But some of my friends were working already there. They recommended my name because they knew Pratik might be the right one to do this. So and there's
Definitely.
nothing to be ashamed about. Because everything in today's world works in networking. There, I recommend you, you recommend me, and that's how the chain builds, right? That's how
Definitely.
we help each other. So it's a big role, big part, big part. Yeah, no more questions about that.
Definitely. So what resources or tools did you find, most helpful while preparing for the interview process? Like, were there any internet sites which helped you to prepare? Like, I know for a fact that your seniors were a huge part of it and your peers as well. But what other, tools did you use to prepare for the interview process, be it JP Morgan or be it any other you sat for?
Okay, so are you specifically talking about the interview part, or is the coding part you're talking
Interview
about,
part,
or like the
interview part,
coding platform for the interview?
interview part.
Interview. Okay, so coming to that, right? VIT internally had have few platforms where there were this mock-ups where we are asked questions and we answer that.
Mm-hmm.
No, that is there. It's helpful, but for me, right, I am someone who prefers speaking confidently to myself in front of mirror, because see, when you are projecting yourself, when you're communicating to someone, it's very important that you're confident. You are not, you're using your words to the point. So throughout my 3 4 years, because even before that I have been into public speaking, right? I've been into public speaking, and I have communicated with in fact leaders around the field. And I've given conferences, attended conferences. I have, so these things help you, right? I have not taken a lot of help from any external platforms apart from VIT internal platforms, but it's also about, constantly communicating with building that public skill ability within you, so that, when you go into the interview, people actually understand what you're trying to say, and you be being very crisp and clear about it. Because see, people in interviews in general won't have a lot of time, so you need to keep your points very crisp and very clear and concise and cover everything. So that will only come with practice. Again, as I told you, it's again practice. So you go attend conferences, you speak in front of people, you speak in front of large crowds, you speak facing yourself. These things do help. There's very small things that do help. Yeah, indeed.
Be crisp, be clear, and get a good grip over what you speak. Definitely, these qualities,
Exactly.
everyone, like as MBA students, I feel like these qualities are a must have. It's not even an option not to have them. And these qualities are,
Yeah.
you can't cram these qualities. You have to, work through it, learn. It just, you receive these qualities with experience. So definitely. So,
Yeah, very true.
according to your experience, if you look back for, the entire interview duration, would you change anything per se from the entire interview experience? Be it for
Yeah.
JP Morgan,
So
be it for any other company you sat for.
yeah. So there's certainly few things that I would have done differently. One of them was, because I told you that this was specifically for first talking about the hackathon part, which I was
Yes.
giving for the first time. It was 24 hours hackathon. So sometimes, because after you work so much
Mm-hmm.
and things are not going the way they're supposed to, like like it's not about you. You are doing your work, but it's about the team. That teammate is not able to do the work that is assigned to you. Sometimes you get a bit irritated, right?
Definitely.
That has a negative reflection on your personality, right? Because these things do happen in the real life as well. So sometimes I did get a bit irritated, and I would I, I feel I should not have. I could have handled that more efficiently. And also, coming to the when the hackathon eventually started and we were brainstorming, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was giving him few ideas, and there was this guy who was not able to understand my ideas. He was questioning, though everyone else got it. Mentor also understood what I was trying to say. She was very convinced about it, but there was this guy who was not understanding, and it was not his fault. He was actually not understanding it, what I'm trying to say. So I eventually got a bit, like, why is this guy not understanding what I'm trying to say? So these things I could have avoided, could have changed. And then again, as I told you, right, it's part of the process. You cannot be the best and the perfect from the first go. Again, part of the process. And again, coming my preparation, right, I would like to tell you, very important thing is that it's how early you start. The earlier you start, the better it is. No matter what kind of skill you're trying to, if it's a communication skill, your coding skill, your leadership skill, your anything. So the earlier you start, the better it is. So I believe I could have started things much earlier, and the result could have been much different, but still happy with what I've got, right? So yeah, these things do matter.
You're definitely happy. You just said, you're happy with the result, but I feel like definitely you should be happy. So, okay.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Like now, do you have any advice for, students who are going to appear for the final placement this year? Do you have any advice for them?
Yeah, sure. So the biggest advice is, because we all know, specifically talking about the few last 1 2 years, this has not been easy for students throughout, like, no matter what college they belong to, because the industry has been on a trend where there's firing going on, there's very selective hiring that is happening, right? So you need to have that positive mindset. I know I'm saying this after I have I have get in, But to be very honest, that's how it is. It's not easy. I won't say it's easy. It was not easy for me as well. It was not easy for me as well. But then again, you need to know, because I told you that you have to be at your best, and you cannot be at your best when you are not happy, and when you are not, when you don't have that kind of determination within you. So you should have that perseverance, and you understand that there are certain things that will come your way. You need to accept that and move on, and eventually be at a positive mindset that, yeah, there will be a company which will see my work. And first thing, you need to have us value yourself, value your own skills. Once you start doing that, the companies will also see, look at you, and yeah, this guy has the confidence. They can contribute to my team. So the times are difficult, but that's more challenging and more fun as well. So be at a positive mindset and just go ahead, I believe.
Definitely. So that's a wrap for today, guys. I hope you found today's episode enlightening. A big thank you to you, Prateek, for being an incredible guest and sharing your expertise and insights with us. To all our listeners out there, your support means everything to us. If you enjoyed today's discussion, be sure to hit that subscribe button and leave us with a review. Thank you.